That point in my life, I was 20. This is probably 2017, 2018. And for a while I had, even some trust issues, especially in the world of business.
Yeah.
A lot of self-doubts, like, wow, like, why did he do that?
Yeah.
Did I do something wrong? Was I not capable enough?
And so that just got your head all messed up.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely, for the rest of that year, let's say month, 2 months, where it's just like, damn, what do I do now? Did I make the wrong decision? Should I just go back to school? Like, should I just, essentially, should I settle? Is really what it kind of came down to. I came to a place where, you know what? Like, it's not actually a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because I learned a lot. I'm actually still, like, really, really young. I felt like I was ahead of everyone else that, let's say, was lined up next to me because they don't have anything close to that kind of experience.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Venture Hustles podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. I'm Saj, and this is Jack. We're the co-hosts of this show.
Yes.
If you're tuning in for the first time, or a regular, we're a podcast that talks mostly about the hustle, different ventures, how to startups, entrepreneurship, the art of sale, how to make it, tips and tricks. We'll occasionally have some nice guests. And then sometimes we'll talk about our stories and our experiences. And today...
It's one of those days, isn't it?
One of those days. So, welcome. Thank you for everybody that's been supporting us.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool to see the different platforms doing, good in different ways. And our goal is to stay consistent, wrap up the year without missing anything. So far, we've been doing pretty good.
Yep, I'd say.
And we've also been having a lot of really awesome guests on the show that we've been having on. Some of the episodes we've released, some of them we haven't yet. Some of them are scheduled for filming.
Yeah.
And are we good?
Yes.
Yeah. And for the most part, I think we have a pretty exciting rest of the year lined up.
Yeah, it should be super cool, and definitely looking forward to your guys' feedback. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess we can get started today. We're going to be, we've been talking about our origin stories, our backgrounds, where we come from, our paths.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing separate episodes on me and Jack, where we can kind of dive into who we are, what has brought us here, our core stories of what has shaped us and the way we are today, and what's the future looking like for us. So today we're going to be talking about Mr. Jack Spatero's origin story.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited to hear everything, man. I think I know a lot of it.
Fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've talked. I've known you for a couple years now, and I think it'll be really cool to have everybody else listen, because I think there are a lot of people that will be able to relate to you, and a lot of people can kind of learn from mistakes and things that we've grown from.
Yeah, for sure. I hope so.
Yeah. So whenever you're ready, man, we can get started.
I mean, I think that we can start.
Good.
I think that we can start with, we're based on Long Island. I've spent my whole life here on Long Island. And so I think a good place to start would be kind of, when I was super young. I mean, I'm young now. But one of my first dreams was being a professional football player. It's in my family. My dad was super good. He's in like the Hall of Fame at his high school for football.
Your dad?
Yeah, he was a stud.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, he was a stud.
Whoa.
He was
Shout out Papa Spatero.
Yeah, shout out for sure. And yeah, I think that was probably one of my first loves was football. I mean, I still love it today, and I keep up, I watch, play fantasy or whatever. But that was, I think, one of the first things that I wanted to do. Obviously, I feel like that with most younger guys, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. You know
So
what I mean?
what age were you when you?
I mean, I was playing football when I was probably 8. I was
Okay.
one of my first introductions, let's say, playing,
Okay.
PAL, as they say, little league football almost. And
Okay.
I was pretty good, and kind of went through playing when I was in elementary school, middle school, and then eventually high school, and did pretty well there. And so I think that as I started to go through my journey in high school, football was definitely one of the cornerstones. Just I think sports are definitely, at least for me, was definitely a place where you could build a lot of character, values, especially with a game like football,
Yeah.
where it's very team oriented. You got to rely on the guy next to you. If one guy ain't doing his job, the whole thing can kind of fall apart very quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I played football for, I don't know, 10 years about.
Okay.
And it also, so as I was going through high school, it came to a point where I was getting a lot of offers to go and play football. Mostly D3 schools, had maybe 1 or 2 D2 schools on the East Coast. And, that was a time in my life where I had to make a decision where it's like, okay, if I go and play, like, I need to be committed, you know, and because especially with college, it's a whole different ballgame, because if you're going to go to a school to play football, you're playing football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, for me, what I wound up doing was I wound up going to a community college to play football.
Okay.
In Nassau community. They had a pretty good team there. And, the original plan was to play there for like 2 years.
Okay.
And then go and essentially try and get another offer, because Nassau community specifically is a place where you can play for 2 years, and then there's guys that got D1 scholarships. We're talking
sick.
about going to Ohio State, LSU, like some of the big schools that like everyone knows about.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the original plan, and so I wound up going to school for being a teacher at Nassau. And when I got there, I was traveling about 30 to 40 minutes to school, which was horrible.
To Nassau.
And so when I was doing that, I wind up not even going out for the team, because I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not even sure I want to fully commit to playing, And I was at a point in my life where I kind of just wanted to focus on career stuff, making money essentially, and really starting to hit some of the goals that I had set for myself, family's super important to me. I want to be able to take care of my family, and friends. And so it was a tough decision for sure, but, I made that decision. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on career stuff.
Okay. So, I guess this is, how old are you here?
I'm in my first year of college, so probably 19. Maybe.
Okay.
20.
So 19, you kind of like, you're in college, you go to Nassau, and then you're kind of like there thinking that you're gonna be playing football, and then you start realizing.
That was the original goal, right?
Right.
And when I started not to play, it's like, all right, well then why am I even going to Nassau? Why not just go to something closer?
What positions did you play?
I played, wide receiver. I played running back. Was definitely good on the defensive end too. Played like safety, linebacker.
Okay.
I was kind of the guy where, wherever you needed someone, I could pretty much fill in. I wasn't the biggest guy, but I was quick and I was pretty smart on the field.
Yeah, I've seen some of your highlight reels.
We did our best,
That's good. It's good.
Constructed that,
You had some moves.
showing college coaches and stuff, which that was also, pretty cool experience too, kind of going through like the whole recruitment process, leaving class to go like to an hour meeting, thought you're a big shot and stuff, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So wind up going to school for a little bit, decided not to play football. Was going to be a teacher. Kind of went through the motions there for about a year, closer to 2. And then kind of came to a place where there's a pretty pivotal moment for me when I went, because when you're going to school for a teacher, obviously you're in class, but then at a certain point you go to like an actual school. And the goal was to do like high school social studies, and then coach football. And so I had went to the high school that I attended as a student. And I remember being in the back, talking to a lot of the guys there, and I can vividly remember them saying, you know, like, Jack, when you get here, you know, a lot of the pensions and the benefits, you know, aren't going to be that good.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember sitting there and saying, wow, what am I doing then? What am I doing here? You know? And at that point, you know, I kind of started to realize that I'm not sure if I wanted to be a teacher for the right reasons. Although
Okay.
I like working with kids, I
Well,
like teaching people, but
Well, yeah, I was just going to ask you that. Like, what drew you to wanting to be a teacher?
I think what drew me was I liked working with kids. I had a couple of jobs, you know, during school that
Okay.
I worked with kids. I liked it. And then also I wanted to be involved in like the football culture there. I really, really enjoyed, you know, that. I like the camaraderie, you know, kind of aspect of it.
Yeah.
And the whole team building. And, you know, again, I think with any sport, it really can build, especially when you're at such a young age, and this happened to me, where it really builds certain values and characteristics of that person as you kind of go through the journey.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a part of having impacts on, like, you know, younger, you know, guys as they kind of grow up. You know,
Yeah.
that was a big thing for me. So as I started to realize, like, you know what, like, you know, you don't really have to be a teacher, you know, to coach. I could just volunteer if I wanted to, you know? So after kind of going through that for, let's say, a year and a half,
Yep.
let's say year and a half, probably year and a half to 2 years, I essentially dropped out. And so, you know, when I dropped out, you know, obviously there's all sorts of questions like, okay, well then what are you going to do? And, you know, got to go find a job.
So you
And-
dropped out when you were 19?
Yeah, dropped out when I was about 19, probably 19, 20. I mean, I'm older for, let's say, my grade, quote unquote. So I
Yep.
was probably closer to 20, let's say.
Okay.
You know, this is probably around 2017, I'd say.
Okay.
In the semester of like the summer semester.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after that, now I'm on like the hunt, you know, and I'm in a place where I've written down some goals, you know, monetary goals and, you know, lifestyle goals of how I want to live and what I want it to look like, all these kinds of things. I'm a very visual person when it comes to that kind of stuff, and I think, you know, I believe in manifesting things, and that was kind of my goal there. So as I was on that journey, just kind of looking for potential opportunities, you know, everywhere I go, I look for opportunities. You know, for me, a lot of it's not really about the money now. You know what I mean? It's about, okay, if I work at this, because I know I'm going to be the best at it, what's on the other side? You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I started looking for. And I got introduced actually by some kid I knew into a catering company out in East Hampton. So I wound up going for an interview. Went really well. Me and the guy right off the bat really started clicking pretty well. And so wound up getting the job. Worked there for pretty much that summer. You know, it was really fun experience kind of dealing with those, you know, that kind of clientele. Very high ticket items. You know, we're talking about people that are spending $60,000, $70,000 on like a baby shower.
Okay.
You know, so it's very kind of bougie, very high end. Started there as just like your normal Joe Schmo catering guy, and within the first 4 weeks, you know, I was able to be in a place where I was actually running events. I was like the coordinator.
Okay.
Then I eventually did some hiring there. So now I was in a place where I had me and like 3, 4, 5 of my buddies all working together. I was running the show, you know, walking out of there. I was, 20, 21, you know, walking out of there, you know, every night with like $700, $800 in my pocket. It was good. It was a good time, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, that was one of the first times I actually experienced making a fair amount of money in like 2, 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a lot of fun. And after that, I wound up, again, becoming super close with the guy who was running the show. And, you know, after the tenure there, because a lot of times with those restaurants that, you know, they're seasonal. So they're open for like 6 months of the year, pretty much. That's where they make a lot of their money. The other 6 months is just kind of, they're doing nothing.
Yeah.
And so I grew closer with the guy, and the guy was like, hey, you know, he approached me and was like, you know, I'm going to be starting my own, you know, event coordination business or event planner business.
This is someone that you worked with in that organization?
This was someone that worked with the organization. He was kind of like the director
Okay.
of that place for for the catering and event planning.
Got you.
And he was, I was like his right-hand man. When we would coordinate larger events together, and then if there's a couple events on a day, we would kind of divide and conquer.
What kind of events were these?
This would be anything from baby showers and weddings to, corporate events,
Okay.
to going to people's houses,
Okay.
and orchestrating events there.
So small, medium, large.
Yeah, anything from a 20-person party all the way up to, I think one of the largest events that I was kind of headlining was probably around 100, 120 people.
Okay.
So I learned a lot of good skills there. Not only people skills, but then organizing, time management is such a important thing, in like the catering event planning industry, because if you're the event coordinator, you're the person that is not only making sure the event's going smoothly, but what contributes to that is making sure, okay, when is the food coming out?
Yeah.
Different increments,
Yeah.
Is everyone taken care of? How's the overall feel of it? Do I need to change the music? Do I
Yeah.
need to change the lights? How's the seating?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's not even including all the prep work, that has to go into it. So, let's say that September, October rolls around, and that was really my first experience kind of creating, what we would call a startup, where going through all the paperwork, going through, let's say, all of the brand building, with the site, even, things like the logo, the name, all these different things. And, wind up doing that for probably about 3 to 4 months by the end of the year, I'd say.
Yeah.
And it was a really good experience, because that was a place where you're building something. I'm networking. I'm going to all these different vendors saying, hey, my name is Jack. This is my company. I'm looking to form some sort of relationship with you because I'm going to be, hosting a lot of events in the area, getting business cards, going to expos, just overall getting a lot more familiar with the space. Then also networking, which is obviously a huge part of, of any brand that you're building.
Yeah.
And
so how many people were in this group that you guys now stemmed off and you're starting your own thing, right?
It was just him and I.
Oh, it's just 50-50?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, I guess it was only him and I. I think the split was 60-40.
Okay.
He was 60, I was 40.
Okay.
And so went through all of that. And then, and this was also like a super huge learning point for me where, when you work with someone, you really get to know them. Especially when you're working with someone in this kind of capacity, because it's literally every single day, 24/7. There's a lot of stuff that needs to get done, and you guys are both kind of banging heads to get it done. You know what I mean? You know about this. And so, in month 3 or 4, things started to get, a little rocky between him and I, where, I'm not really sure, I guess to this day, what were some of his reasonings of kind of, let's say, breaking it off. But essentially what happened, I think, was I was super young, didn't really know. I had a lot of trust in him that he was like, okay, young guy, he has a lot of potential, but he brings some value kind of thing. And what had pretty much happened was he had switched up some of the paperwork. I don't know what I signed. And essentially, one day called me up and said, hey, you're out. I'm doing this solo. Peace.
He said that to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, what do you mean? This on the third. And it just seemed like I'm talking with, a lot of my people, family, and you're not a good fit. All these different things. And, that was definitely, an eye-opener, I think, for me. Definitely a really big, I guess, point in my life.
Yeah. That's a very abrupt lesson to learn. Very. How old were you? 20?
Yeah, I was 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 20 years old.
And this is essentially the first startup that you've ever been a part of.
This was the first startup I was a part of. Definitely the first business venture. That I was a part of.
Now,
sure.
was he under the impression that you were going to be an employee and less a partner?
No, I can. It's funny because I can vividly remember. We were at his house, and I'm signing the paperwork. Of some of the state stuff for New York, where it's X is X, this is his address, blah, 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 signing. I can vividly remember that. So I'm not too sure what he had worked out on the back end, whatever it was.
But it was a clear 60-40 relationship.
Yeah. It's so funny because I was doing some house cleaning. This is probably 2 weeks ago. and I actually found the
The
original
agreement?
agreement. Yeah, and
Wow.
I just like kind of looked through it, and I was laughing because I'm like, wow.
Did you get hustled in that agreement?
No, I didn't read through every line,
Okay.
but I kind of just skimmed through it, and
I mean, you were young, so you didn't know any better.
I didn't, no idea,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of just skimmed through. I was kind of brought a smile to my face. I was laughing. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
just to think of how far or
You've
how
come.
long ago it's been, and then how far I've kind of grown since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that point in my life, I was 20. This is probably 2017, 2018. And for a while I had, even some trust issues, especially in the world of business.
Yeah.
A lot of self-doubts, like, wow, like, why did he do that?
Yeah.
Did I do something wrong? Was I not capable enough?
Yeah,
And so that
just
was,
got your head all messed up.
yeah, I mean, there was definitely, for the rest of that year, let's say month, 2 months, where it's just like, damn, what do I do now? Did I make the wrong decision? Should I just go back to school? Like, should I just, essentially, should I settle? Is really what it kind of came down to. And after kind of going through that, going through like a lot of self-reflections, getting some in-between jobs here and there, kind of just going through the motions, let's say. The next biggest thing for me was I was like, okay, you know what? I came to a place where, you know what? Like, it's not actually a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because I learned a lot. I'm actually still like really, really young. I felt like I was ahead of everyone else that, let's say, was lined up next to me because I don't have anything close to that kind of experience. So now I was kind of on the hunt for, essentially another opportunity where I could go in, make a name for myself, make some good money, and then kind of see what happened after that, And that opportunity came in the form of a friend telling me that they worked at a sales place, manufacturer for CBD, which is, people also may know that as hemp, and they made vape juice, manufacturer, right by my house. I was like, what? It's right by my house? Well, I'm going there, getting the job. And this was, I would say, my first hardcore experience with sales.
Okay.
Where I have a 3 to 4 page script, have another packet with objections, and I'm learning how to sell products. Right now, the things I was selling were very low ticket items. We're talking about the items would be anywhere from $3 to $50, but you made your money in bulk, where you're saying 1,000 of them or 5,000 of those kinds of items. And so that was probably one of the best experiences or best things that have ever happened to me. It gave me a lot of foundational stuff, that you'll probably see today.
Okay.
You know what I mean? With just a lot of mindset skills in regards to sales and dealing with clients.
Hey, what was your role there? What did you do?
I was just a salesperson, account executive.
So you would call up different businesses?
Yeah, so it was B2B, calling up different businesses. I was at the company for about a year or so.
Okay,
So within
that's
the first,
decent experience.
Yeah, I mean, within the first 4 months, I did pretty well. And, I can remember staying after with some of the guys, using the script and just reading it over and over and over again. And something that they did back then,
Just get good at it?
I dreaded. But one of the things that they did was every morning we'd have a sales meeting. And every morning there'd be anywhere from 2 to 6 people that would stand up in front of the room. We're talking about standing up and probably in front of 20 to 30 people, and you would pitch each other. So it would be like, hey, Jack, you're going to pitch Saj tomorrow. I can remember one day particularly where this was kind of like a make or break, where I was like in a probationary period still.
Yep.
And this is like, hey, Jack, like, this is your test. And I can remember being in the shower, so nervous, like, oh my God.
Being in the shower?
That day.
Okay.
I can remember even now being in the shower and being just so nervous, like, oh my God, I have to stand up in front of 30 people right now and pitch this guy and try to sell him something. And I wound up doing that, and it didn't really go that well, but what had happened was, like, like the sales floor manager, whoever it was, kind of saw that I was grinding it out. Like, I was staying after.
You saw that you had the effort. You were actually trying.
Effort there. I was trying. I was getting paid hourly at that point.
I mean, this was officially your first sales job.
Easily.
Okay.
Easily.
Yeah.
And And I knew the opportunity I had, you know, because it was the environment was cool. It was a bunch of young guys, some girls in there. The boss was kind of cool. He had some history, you know, with, you know, working with like the Wolf of Wall Street. So I kind of knew where I was at. I'm like, I need to take advantage of this. So I you know, worked there from 9 to 5 and then stay there till 10, you know, not getting paid, you know, for those 5 hours, just grinding it out. So I wound up progressing there after that, you know, after the first 7 months, I was now at a place where I was managing a team. So I was like a team lead. So I'm managing like 3 to 4 people. You know, that was my team. And in that structure, it was like, you know, there's like 4 teams. And whatever team put up the most money, get a little bonus, so on and so forth. So, you know, I did that. That was also a good experience. First time, you know, really managing, let's say, a sales people kind of environment. And, you know, as we both know now, there's lots of headaches and things that we need to kind of take care of in that realm. And then you know, after I was doing that for a while, and then, you know, for me, it kind of, you know, I'm in a place where I always want to keep progressing, always keep growing, make sure there's an opportunity there. And I felt like there wasn't one anymore. You know what I mean? So after that, I kind of just left. It was pretty abrupt. I made, you know, a couple good friends there. And, you know, while I was leaving, another opportunity had arose, you know, for me. And a couple of the guys there wanted to create a company.
Guys from the same company?
Yeah. They were leaving as well. And we wanted to create a distribution company, right? So here I am thinking to myself, okay, this is round 2 now, right? I went through the event planning company, didn't end the way I wanted to. Now it's round 2. And so, again, going through some of the paperwork, very smooth this time. I'm making sure my T's are crossed, I's are dotted, probably a little paranoid, right? Nothing really with the 2 partners, but really just on my side. And now at this time, I kind of face like a different obstacle. Okay. Where, you know, now that I felt comfortable, now I was ready to kind of get down, you know, get my hands dirty and kind of just go to work kind of thing.
Right. And in this new venture opportunity. Exactly. After learning from the negative experience the first time.
Yeah. I mean, at this point now, I know how to set up a company. I know what it takes, you know. Now I have sales experience. Now I can feel like, okay, now I can actually sell my product, right? I feel comfortable networking, selling, getting on the phone, being in front of people. Now it's like, okay, here we go. That lasted for probably about 4 months.
Okay.
Really, here's why.
Wait, I say we put a pause on this, and maybe a good point to pick up in part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Because this is pivotal, I feel like, because this is where you kind of like pick up a lot of the stuff, right? But I guess, like, you know, we're gonna break this episode down to 2 episodes, 2 parts, and we'll kind of leave it on a cliffhanger. So you want to sign us off real quick on this episode?
Yeah. What should I?
Regular. What do you mean?
We're still live.
Still? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was a pivotal moment, you know, for me. And I guess with that being said, we'll kind of pick this up in part 2. Yeah. You know, I'm really hoping, you know, I guess with this episode, you guys just learn from maybe some of the lessons that I learned, you know, so you don't have to go through them. And, you know, as always, we appreciate you guys. And, you know, we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.